The luxury world is rapidly changing right now. And if you're still buying certain brands because you think they scream wealth, you're actually screaming something else entirely. The truly rich have quietly moved on from some brands and have shifted their money, their loyalty, and their status symbols to brands you've probably never heard of. Meanwhile, 15 famous luxury names are fighting for survival by chasing the one customer base they swore they'd never depend on, the aspirational middle class. We're talking about brands that once defined exclusivity, designer houses that celebrities worshipped, and fashion empires bleeding billions while pretending everything is fine. Today, we're counting down 15 luxury brands that rich people have completely abandoned, leaving them scrambling for middle-class dollars just to survive. Some fell because of scandal, others because they got greedy, and a few simply became too accessible, too common, too middle-class themselves. But they all share one chilling reality. The people with real money don't want them anymore. Let's begin. Number 15. Furla. Furla used to represent something special in the accessible luxury space. For decades, Furla occupied that sweet spot between fast fashion and ultra-luxury. Their bags felt substantial, looked expensive, and carried just enough cachet to make you feel sophisticated without bankrupting your savings account. Then, in August 2024, Furla entered formal debt restructuring talks with its lenders. The number? Approximately 154 million euros in crushing debt that threatened to sink the entire company. The Furlanetto family, who owned Furla, scrambled to inject around 25 million of emergency funding just to keep operations alive. But the financial crisis was just the surface wound. The deeper infection was quality collapse. Longtime Furla customers started noticing that the bags were becoming crappy. Bags that once lasted years were showing wear within months. Then it got darker for them. They began to do sales upon sales, and customers just freaked out because they believed Furla was doing that much sales because something was wrong. They are right. Furla's digital performance shows how bad things are. Furla.com revenue declined approximately 18% over recent months. They just couldn't convert, and how could they when traffic to their website was low? Their consumers were actively choosing to shop elsewhere. The wealthy noticed, and they left too. But even without looking at other consumers, the discounts and the poor quality was enough to make the rich leave. Who wants to buy a luxury bag that'll fall apart on the red carpet? Furla now exists in a brutal squeeze. Too expensive to compete with fast fashion, too financially fragile and quality inconsistent to justify premium positioning. The debt restructuring might buy time, but it won't buy back trust. If Furla's debt crisis shocked you, wait until you see brand number 14. This one didn't just lose money. It lost its entire reason for existing. Number 14. All Saints. All Saints should be celebrating. They are executing one of the riskiest pivots in fashion history. They had revenue of £441.3 million, which by the way was down 4% year after year, but somehow their profit before tax soared 55% to £28.2 million, and after-tax profit nearly doubled to £18.9 million. How did their revenue go down and their profit go up? All Saints made a calculated decision. They stopped chasing volume through discounts and instead focused on high-margin, full-price sales. They cut markdowns aggressively, launched seasons earlier to capture full-price demand, and optimized inventory to minimize waste. On paper, it's brilliant. A brand escaping the discount trap while delivering record profitability. But there's a problem. A massive, existential problem. 4% revenue decline suggests customers are walking away. Not all customers, but enough that growth has reversed. All Saints bet that fewer customers paying full price would generate more profit than many customers buying on sale. And mathematically, they were right, for now. But this strategy has a shelf life, because you can only extract so much profit from a shrinking customer base before the base disappears entirely. Every brand that's tried the sell less, charge more approach eventually hits a wall where there simply aren't enough customers willing to pay full freight. On the other hand, All Saints expanded their £55 million revolving credit facility through September 2030, giving them breathing room. Their moves are smart but not luxurious, and that's where the wealthy have quietly exited. Because All Saints' pivot makes perfect business sense, but terrible luxury sense. Luxury brands grow by expanding desirability, not by squeezing existing customers harder. When a brand starts feeling like an investment optimization rather than a cultural force, the rich move on. They sense that All Saints is managing decline, not building momentum. All Saints is gambling its future on margins over magic. But brand 13? This one lost the magic years ago and is now just bleeding out in public. Number 13. Tory Burch. Tory Burch was once the queen of polished American luxury. That double T medallion represented sophistication, success, and understated elegance that worked equally well in boardrooms and country clubs. Then the world changed, and Tory Burch didn't. Around 2023, the fashion landscape shifted violently toward quiet luxury. Buyers suddenly wanted clean lines, subtle details, and bags that whispered wealth instead of announcing it. The era of big logos died overnight. Tory Burch, whose entire aesthetic was built around that iconic double T emblem, was caught completely unprepared. The medallion that once signaled taste suddenly looked dated, loud, try-hard. The very symbol that built the brand became the thing pushing customers away. But the real problem wasn't the logo. It was positioning. Tory Burch had become trapped by its own success. The brand appealed primarily to suburban affluent women, 35 to 55 years old, who wanted recognizable luxury without Hermes price tags. It was aspirational for the upper middle class, which made it perfect for commercial success, but terrible for ultra-luxury perception. Gen Z and younger millennials looked at Tory Burch and saw their mothers. The ultra-wealthy looked at Tory Burch and saw everyone else. The brand existed in no man's land. Too expensive for fast fashion budgets, too common for true luxury positioning. The wholesale business collapsed. Department stores, once Tory Burch's cash cow, dramatically cut orders. Entire shelves of Tory bags sat unsold, quarter after quarter. When wholesale stops buying, the entire ecosystem fractures. Making matters worse, Tory Burch overproduced during the post-pandemic boom, assuming demand would stay permanently elevated. It didn't. By 2024, the brand was drowning in unsold inventory. Thousands of totes, camera bags, and logo-stamped pieces piled up in warehouses. That's when the panic dumping started. Tory Burch bags that originally retailed for $400 began appearing at outlets for $69. In some cases, prices dropped below $40. Social media shoppers documented the carnage. Designer bags priced lower than Forever 21 purses. The brand that once represented accessible elegance had become the new Michael Kors, a cautionary tale of overexpansion and logo fatigue. Fashion TikTok made jokes. Tory Burch feels like a brand that peaked in 2015 and never updated its mood board. The comparisons to suburban mom aesthetics became so widespread that even loyal customers felt self-conscious carrying the bags. The wealthy had already moved on years earlier. What we're witnessing now is the slow collapse of middle-class interest following the same trajectory. Tory Burch isn't dead, but it's coughing up blood while insisting it just has a cold. And the people with real money? They stopped listening years ago. Tory Burch became a victim of its own accessibility. But brand 12 suffered something far more visceral, a quality collapse so severe that customers are demanding refunds on pieces they bought years ago. Number 12. Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren used to be America's answer to European luxury. The brand represented aspirational elegance, preppy sophistication, and the kind of timeless style that transcended trends. But somewhere along the way, Ralph Lauren made a fatal mistake. It became too accessible to too many people. And in luxury, accessibility is poison. Ralph Lauren's positioning today is confused. The brand operates across multiple tiers. There's the purple label, aka true luxury, black label, blue label, polo, and endless licensed products from bed sheets to paint colors. This strategy generated volume and revenue, but destroyed exclusivity. When your logo appears on $20 towels at HomeGoods and $3,000 cashmere coats simultaneously, customers can't figure out what your brand actually represents. The wealthy have a particular disgust with brand dilution. They'll tolerate diffusion lines if the brand maintains clear separation between tiers. But when Ralph Lauren polo shirts appear at outlet malls for $39, worn by teenagers at suburban high schools, the prestige evaporates. Financially, Ralph Lauren remains stable. In fiscal 2025, the company reported revenue growth in some quarters, with digital strength and Asia performance offsetting weakness elsewhere. The business isn't collapsing, but perception is collapsing. Fashion insiders note that Ralph Lauren has drifted toward heritage nostalgia rather than innovation. The collections feel repetitive, predictable, safe. Nothing feels urgent or essential. The brand is coasting on legacy rather than building new relevance. The ultra-wealthy increasingly view Ralph Lauren as a brand their grandparents wore. It feels American in a way that once represented aspiration, but now feels dated, like country. Clubs and tennis whites and yacht parties that belong to a different era. Meanwhile, younger, affluent consumers gravitate toward brands with sharper edge or quieter luxury. Labels like The Row, Loro Piana, or even well-curated vintage. Ralph Lauren doesn't fit either category. It's stuck in the middle, appealing to neither the old guard nor the new generation. The brand's ubiquity is both its commercial strength and its luxury death sentence. You can buy Ralph Lauren anywhere, department stores, outlets, online, or airport shops. When a brand is everywhere, it's special nowhere. Ralph Lauren is dying slowly, fading into the background noise of accessible luxury. But Brand 11? This collapse is happening in real time, quarter after brutal quarter. Number 11. Michael Kors. Michael Kors isn't struggling, it's imploding. Under parent company Capri Holdings, Michael Kors posted catastrophic financial results in fiscal 2025. Fourth quarter revenue dropped 15.4% year over year. Full fiscal 2025 revenue collapsed 14% to $4.4 billion. But those numbers actually understate the severity. Michael Kors' revenue fell from $3.5 billion in 2024 to $3 billion in 2025. Projections for 2026 show further decline to $2.75 billion. Think about that trajectory. That's a brand in free fall. Capri CEO John Idol admitted on earnings calls that the company made catastrophic strategic mistakes. They raised prices significantly over 24 months coming out of COVID, assuming customers would follow them upmarket. The customers didn't. We raised prices significantly, and that was successful coming out of COVID, Idol confessed. But the customer got more and more choiceful, and unfortunately, we had to be more promotional because we had to get to price points where she would buy the brand. Basically, they got greedy. Customers left, and they began to discount like crazy just to move products. Michael Kors fell into the accessible luxury trap that's destroyed countless brands. They expanded too aggressively. The brand became too common. By 2012, Michael Kors bags were everywhere. Every mall, every department store, every outlet center. The brand that once represented attainable luxury became the uniform of middle-class aspiration. And when middle-class consumers can easily afford your product, the wealthy want nothing to do with it. The logo became a punchline. Fashion forums joked that Michael Kors was the brand people buy when they want others to think they have money. The ultra-affluent wouldn't be caught dead carrying MK bags because the logo signaled trying, too hard rather than arrived. Capri tried to salvage the situation. They're closing 100 stores, reducing the fleet from 750 to 650 locations. They're renovating 150 stores to elevate the full-price experience. They're cutting costs aggressively. But here's the problem. You can't premiumize a brand that's already cemented as mass accessible. Once customers associate your logo with outlet malls and 60% off sales, no amount of renovation changes that perception. The wealthy abandoned Michael Kors years ago. What we're witnessing now is the middle class following suit, realizing they're paying inflated prices for a brand that carries zero social currency. Michael Kors proves that in luxury, you can never go mass and then premium again. But Brand 10 learned that lesson differently, by chasing technology while forgetting what made them desirable in the first place. Number 10. Prada. Wait. Prada at number 10 feels wrong, doesn't it? Because Prada hasn't collapsed. Financially, Prada Group performed relatively well versus peers in 2024 and 2025, reporting continued resilience and maintaining a net cash position. The company even explored merger and acquisition opportunities, showing confidence while competitors scrambled to survive. So why is Prada on this list? Because perception matters more than financials in luxury, and Prada's perception among the ultra-wealthy has shifted, not collapsed, shifted. Prada is no longer the disruptive force it once was. The brand that defined intellectual luxury in the 90s and early 2000s, that made nylon backpacks cooler than leather, that turned ugly chic into a movement, now feels predictable. For middle-class consumers, that's perfect. Prada represents attainable luxury with heritage credibility. The bags are recognizable, the quality is solid, and the brand carries enough prestige to feel like an achievement. But for the ultra-wealthy, stability is boring. They want brands that feel exclusive, cutting-edge, or impossibly rare. Prada has become too sensible, too safe. The Prada triangle logo, once subversive and intellectual, now appears on bags carried by tourists, influencers, and suburban shoppers. It's not that Prada cheapened itself through outlets like Michael Kors, it's that the brand became democratically accessible through cultural proliferation. Fashion insiders note that Prada's customer base has shifted downward, in wealth brackets. The brand remains strong with upper middle class and affluent professionals, but billionaires and ultra-high net worth individuals increasingly gravitate toward quieter labels or more exclusive houses. Prada's financial strength comes from smart diversification, but the magic? That indefinable quality that makes ultra-wealthy customers feel like they're part of a secret club? That's fading. Prada sits at number 10, not because it's failing, but because the truly rich have moved on to brands that feel less accessible, more insider. Prada has become luxury for people who appreciate luxury, but it's no longer luxury for people who define luxury. Prada is winning commercially while losing cultural cash with the ultra-wealthy. But Brand 9? This one is facing a crisis so severe that even celebrities are distancing themselves. Number 9. Chanel. This one will shock people. Chanel at number 9? Chanel, the epitome of timeless luxury, the brand that invented the little black dress and made costume jewelry chic? Yes, because Chanel made a catastrophic strategic error which the wealthy didn't like. Over the past 5 years, Chanel has aggressively raised prices multiple times. The classic flat bag, which cost around $4,900 in 2019, now retails for over $10,000, depending on size and material. That's more than a 100% increase in just 6 years. Chanel's logic was simple. Create scarcity through pricing, reinforce exclusivity, and position the brand as truly unattainable. It worked for Hermès, so why not Chanel? Because Chanel isn't Hermès. Hermès creates artificial scarcity through production limits and wait lists. You can't walk into Hermès and buy a Birkin regardless of money. That's real exclusivity. Chanel created artificial scarcity through pricing alone, and wealthy customers saw through it immediately. The backlash was swift, particularly in China, where luxury consumers are sophisticated and price-sensitive. Reports emerged of Chinese shoppers refusing purchases after price hikes, viewing the increases as exploitative rather than justified by improved quality or scarcity. Resale markets told the same story. Chanel bags, which traditionally held value exceptionally well, started showing softer resale performance. While still strong compared to most brands, the trajectory shifted downward, a warning sign that even Chanel isn't immune to market forces. Meanwhile, Chanel expanded access through boutiques, pop-ups, and increased production. The brand wanted to be everywhere while charging Hermès-level prices, a contradiction that didn't escape ultra-wealthy buyers. The result? Chanel is stuck in a perception crisis. Middle-class consumers see Chanel as aspirational, but increasingly unattainable, pushing them toward more accessible luxury. Ultra-wealthy consumers see Chanel as overpriced relative to scarcity, especially when Hermès, Loro Piana, and Brunello Cucinelli offer genuine exclusivity at similar or even lower price points. Chanel remains enormously desirable, but cracks are showing. The brand that once represented effortless elegance now feels like it's trying too hard to maintain exclusivity through price alone. Fashion analysts note that Chanel's pricing strategy created resentment rather than desire, particularly among younger, wealthy consumers who view value differently than previous generations. They don't mind paying for true scarcity or craftsmanship, but they resent being priced out through arbitrary increases. Chanel sits at number 9 because the damage is still contained, but the trajectory is concerning. When your pricing strategy generates pushback from your core wealthy customer base, you're playing a dangerous game. Chanel thought it could price its way into Hermès territory. Instead, it's pricing itself into a different problem, wealthy customers questioning whether it's worth it anymore. But Brand 8 learned a different lesson about authenticity, one that cost them billions. Number 8. Bottega Veneta. Bottega Veneta is complicated. It belongs on this list not because it's failing, but because its journey reveals everything about how fickle, ultra-wealthy taste can be. For years, Bottega, under Daniel Lee, was the brand. The pouch clutch became iconic. The padded cassette bag was everywhere. Bottega represented a perfect synthesis. Recognizable without logos, expensive without being ostentatious, trendy without feeling desperate. Then, Daniel Lee left, and the brand entered a weird limbo. Under creative director Mathieu Blazy, Bottega has stabilized and even shown resilience within Kering's portfolio. In Q3 2025, Bottega Veneta posted revenue of 393 million euros, up 3% on a comparable basis, while retail sales grew 5%, led by double-digit growth in North America. Those are solid numbers, especially while Gucci implodes and the luxury market contracts. But here's the issue. Blazy is leaving, but that's not all. There's the matter of Bottega's cultural heat cooling. The brand that once drove conversations, that had wait lists and resale premiums and celebrity obsession, now feels fine. Present but not essential. Fashion insiders note that Blazy's Bottega is more intellectually rigorous and craft-focused than Lee's era. The products are beautifully made, the shows are critically acclaimed, and the brand positioning is smart. But it's also less viral, less buzzworthy, less "I need that bag right now," and more "I appreciate the craftsmanship." That shift matters enormously in luxury, where emotional desire often outweighs rational appreciation. The wealthy still buy Bottega, but they're not obsessed with Bottega. It's a choice among many rather than the only choice that matters. Bottega sits at number 8 because it represents a different kind of abandonment. Not rejection, but indifference. The brand hasn't lost the rich, it's just not capturing their imagination anymore. And in luxury, imagination is everything. Bottega Veneta proves that even doing everything right doesn't guarantee cultural heat. But Brand 7? This one is facing a crisis that no amount of good design can fix. Number 7. Giorgio Armani. Giorgio Armani represents a different kind of luxury crisis, the founder's dilemma. In 2024, the company spent 332 million euros in 2024 to renovate flagship stores and internalize e-commerce. It was doubling down on infrastructure despite slowing sales. Armani ended the year with 570 million euros in net cash, a comfortable buffer but not unlimited. Here's where it gets tricky. Who will succeed Armani? Giorgio Armani is 90 years old. His will, now public, instructs the sale of a 15% stake within 18 months of his death, and potentially another 30% to 54.9% within 3 to 5 years. Potential buyers named include LVMH, L'Oréal, and EssilorLuxottica. The brand is valued somewhere between 4 billion euros and 7 billion euros, depending on how analysts value licensing, real estate, and legacy business. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Much of Armani's value is tied to the man himself. Giorgio Armani is the brand. His aesthetic, his vision, his personal taste define every collection. Unlike houses that successfully transitioned creative direction, Armani has never cultivated a successor capable of carrying the vision forward. Giuseppe Marsocci, a longtime Armani executive, has been named CEO following Armani's eventual passing. But creative direction remains uncertain, Can Armani exist without Armani? The wealthy are betting no. Fashion insiders note that Armani's aesthetic, while timeless, feels increasingly dated to younger, affluent consumers. The clean lines and muted palettes that defined power dressing in the 80s and 90s now feel conservative, safe, even boring. Armani remains popular with older, wealthy clients, 50+, who appreciate the brand's reliability and heritage. But younger, ultra-wealthy consumers, especially those under 40, barely engage with the brand. To them, Armani represents their parents' generation. The brand is navigating a delicate transformation: falling revenue, shrinking profitability, macro risk, and an uncertain future post-founder. It's luxury's most visible succession crisis, and the wealthy are watching nervously while quietly reallocating spend elsewhere. Giorgio Armani's crisis is existential and inevitable. But Brand 6? This one created its own disaster through a scandal so damaging that the brand may never recover its former status. Number 6. Balenciaga. We need to talk about Balenciaga, because what happened here isn't normal luxury market dynamics. This is a case study in how a single moment can obliterate decades of brand building. In late 2022, Balenciaga released an advertising campaign featuring children holding teddy bears dressed in BDSM gear alongside documents referencing child exploitation laws. The backlash was immediate, visceral, and catastrophic. Celebrities who'd championed Balenciaga for years publicly distanced themselves. Kim Kardashian, one of the brand's most visible advocates, released a statement condemning the campaign. Nicole Kidman, another longtime supporter, quietly removed Balenciaga mentions from her social media. Consumers revolted. Hashtags demanding boycotts trended for weeks. TikTok users posted videos burning Balenciaga products. The controversy wasn't just about bad advertising. It struck at fundamental questions of morality and judgment that luxury brands are supposed to be immune to. The financial impact was severe. According to e-commerce analytics, Balenciaga.com revenue experienced a 21% decline in early 2025. Parent company Kering's Other Houses division, which includes Balenciaga, saw sales drop 8% in 2024, but the numbers barely capture the cultural damage. Balenciaga went from being the most influential fashion house of the 2010 seconds to a brand many consumers actively avoid. Comment sections on Balenciaga posts remain battlefields nearly 3 years later. Every new campaign triggers renewed outrage and boycott threats. The brand has tried to rehabilitate. Creative director Demna Gvasalia issued an apology. The company implemented new internal oversight processes. They've released new collections, attempting to move past the scandal. But trust, once shattered, is nearly impossible to rebuild in luxury. Because luxury isn't just about products. It's about values, taste, and judgment. When a brand demonstrates catastrophically poor judgment, wealthy customers assume that judgment extends to everything else. Fashion insiders note that Balenciaga still maintains some cultural relevance, particularly with consumers who separate art from controversy. The shows are still well attended, pieces still circulate on social media, but the aura is gone. The ultra-wealthy, who obsess over brand associations and what their purchases signal about them, have largely moved on. Carrying a Balenciaga bag in 2025 prompts questions, explanations, and uncomfortable conversations. Wealthy consumers don't want that friction. Balenciaga sits at number 6 because the damage may be permanent. Some brands recover from scandals. Balenciaga's scandal was so visceral, so fundamentally disturbing, that forgiveness may never come. Balenciaga destroyed itself through unforgivable judgment. But Brand 5? This one is hemorrhaging money while desperately trying to convince everyone it's still relevant. Number 5. Louis Vuitton. This entry will be controversial. Louis Vuitton, the most valuable luxury brand on earth, sitting at number 5 on a list of brands the rich have abandoned? Yes. Because financial success and cultural desirability among the ultra-wealthy are not the same thing. Louis Vuitton remains commercially dominant. The brand drives massive revenue for parent LVMH and maintains global recognition unmatched by any competitor. Financially, LV is untouchable, but perception among the truly wealthy is shifting, and the shift is damning. Luxury consumers are increasingly commenting that Louis Vuitton feels like fast fashion. The brand releases too many colorways, too many collaborations, too many limited editions. The constant drops create hype, yes, but they also create exhaustion. That's not all. Fashion analysts note that many luxury brands, Louis Vuitton included, are beginning to feel consumer resistance to aggressive price increases. LV pushed prices up significantly in recent years, but wealthy clients are pushing back, questioning whether the increases reflect improved quality or just inflated margins. The ultra-wealthy are asking a question LV hasn't faced before. Is this still special? When you can walk into any major city and see dozens of people carrying LV bags, when tourists flood LV stores in every luxury district, when the brand feels ubiquitous rather than exclusive, the truly rich start looking elsewhere. Market commentary suggests that older, high-end designer brands like Louis Vuitton may be losing cool factor among very wealthy buyers, who increasingly explore more exclusive or niche names. Brands like Bottega Veneta, The Row, Loro Piana, and even independent ateliers offer something LV can't: genuine scarcity. Because LV's challenge is structural. The brand is so successful, so profitable, that maintaining exclusivity becomes mathematically impossible. To generate the revenue LVMH demands, LV must produce and sell massive volumes. But massive volumes destroy exclusivity. The wealthy don't mind that middle-class consumers aspire to LV. They think that middle-class consumers achieve LV. When your logo appears on Canal Street knockoffs and authentic bags simultaneously, when the brand becomes shorthand for "I'm trying to look rich," and the actually rich look for alternatives. Louis Vuitton remains powerful, profitable, and culturally significant. But among the 1%, the ultra-high net worth individuals who define luxury trends, LV increasingly feels too common, too accessible, too middle class. Louis Vuitton's success is killing its exclusivity. But Brand 4 is facing a different crisis, a collapse so total that even mid-tier celebrities won't touch it anymore. Number 4. Gucci, the flagship brand sinking caring. If you want to understand luxury's current crisis, look at Gucci. In Q3 2025, Gucci reported revenue of 1.3 billion euros, down 18% as reported. Retail sales declined by 13%, while wholesale revenue plummeted 25%. Those aren't quarterly blips. That's a brand in freefall. Gucci accounts for nearly 40% of Kering's total revenue and around 2/3 of its operating profit. When Gucci bleeds, Kering hemorrhages. And Gucci is bleeding badly. What happened? How did the brand that defined 2010s fashion, that made Alessandro Michele's maximalist Renaissance aesthetic a global phenomenon, collapse so spectacularly? The answer is brand fatigue, combined with strategic missteps. Under Michele, Gucci became everywhere. The interlocking G logo appeared on everything from $500 sneakers to $5,000 coats. The brand flooded the market with product, making Gucci accessible to aspirational consumers while diluting exclusivity for the wealthy. Then Michele left in 2022, and Kering brought in Sabato de Sarno to reset the brand toward minimalism. But de Sarno's aesthetic didn't resonate. Critics found it boring, safe, derivative of other brands. Customers didn't connect emotionally with the new direction. By February 2025, Kering panicked and fired de Sarno, replacing him with Demna Gvasalia, who took over as creative director in July 2025. This marked Gucci's second creative director change in under 3 years, signaling desperation rather than strategic vision. Meanwhile, leadership chaos compounded creative turmoil. Kering appointed Francesca Bellatini as Gucci CEO in September 2025, replacing Stefano Cantino, whose tenure lasted only months. And in September 2025, Luca De Meo, former CEO of Renault, became Kering's CEO, replacing François-Henri Pinault. That's 3 major leadership changes within months of each other. That's a full-blown panic. The ultra-wealthy abandoned Gucci years ago, once Michele's maximalism became everywhere, and the brand lost its insider feel. Middle-class consumers are now following, realizing they're paying premium prices for a brand in creative chaos with zero cultural momentum. Gucci desperately needs Demna's first collection, debuting at Milan Fashion Week, to be a critical and commercial smash. But even if it succeeds, the damage may already be done. Wealthy consumers don't return to brands they've abandoned. They find new obsessions and never look back. Gucci is Kering's Titanic, sinking slowly while everyone scrambles for lifeboats. But brand 3? This one proves that not all brands really recover from scandal. Number 3. Alexander Wang. If you thought Balenciaga can be controversial, meet Alexander Wang. This brand was the uniform of wealthy cool kids who spent their nights at after-parties and their mornings at private Pilates. But starting in late 2020 and exploding into early 2021, everything changed. It started when British model Owen Mooney posted a TikTok saying Wang had groped him in a New York club back in 2017. This accusation opened the floodgates for more association, and in an instant, wearing Alexander Wang felt like a death sentence. The wealthy, especially young, affluent consumers, were the first to jump ship. Because for them, luxury isn't just about clothing, it's about identity, and wearing Wang suddenly said something they didn't want attached to their personal brand. But scandal wasn't the only reason the rich left. The fashion world moved on without him. His signature aesthetic, downtown nightlife, black on black, minimalistic clubwear, became outdated as the Y2K revival took over. While Alexander Wang is looking for public goodwill, the next on this list has too much of it. Number 2. Loro Piana. This is where this video flips. Loro Piana doesn't belong on a list of brands the rich have abandoned. It belongs on a list of brands the rich have discovered, obsessed over, and turned into the ultimate status symbol that middle-class consumers don't even recognize. So why include it at number 2? Because Loro Piana represents the opposite pattern, and understanding why wealthy consumers abandoned those 14 brands requires understanding what they moved toward. And they moved toward Loro Piana. Loro Piana, owned by LVMH, has quietly become the brand for ultra-wealthy consumers who want luxury without logos and prices so high they automatically exclude aspirational buyers. This brand fits the desire of the ultra-wealthy to abandon performative luxury. They're done with brands that scream status and instead gravitating toward brands that whisper it, brands only other wealthy people recognize. Loro Piana sits at number 2 to make a point. The rich haven't stopped spending. They've just stopped buying the brands everyone else wants. Loro Piana is what the wealthy moved toward. And brand number 1? This is the brand proving that even flawless execution can't save you if you become too perfect too successfully. Number 1. Brunello Cucinelli. This will confuse people. Brunello Cucinelli at number 1? The brand posting double-digit growth, record profits, and universal critical acclaim? Yes. Because Brunello Cucinelli represents the most dangerous threat to ultra-luxury, becoming too successful at being exclusive. In 2024, Brunello Cucinelli reported revenues of 1.28 billion euros, better than how it performed in 2023. The company projects 10% growth for both 2025 and 2026. Those are phenomenal numbers, especially while LVMH, Kering, and Capri Holdings struggle. Cucinelli's success comes from a relentless focus on quality, craftsmanship, exclusivity, and what he calls humanistic capitalism. The brand produces ready-to-wear, which is 85% of total sales, maintains Italian production, keeps communication discreet, and delivers healthy profits. It's luxury done right. So, what's the problem? Success itself is the problem. Brunello Cucinelli has become the default recommendation for ultra-wealthy consumers seeking quiet luxury. Fashion editors praise it. Luxury consultants recommend it. Wealthy consumers discover it and evangelize it to their circles. And as more people discover Cucinelli, as the brand becomes the answer to what do truly wealthy people wear, it risks becoming what it was designed to avoid: common. Not common in the Michael Kors sense, but common among the 1%. Because when the 1% start seeing too many other 1%ers wearing the same label, they start looking for alternatives. This is luxury's ultimate paradox. The more successfully you execute exclusivity, the more people want what you're selling, which destroys the very exclusivity that made you desirable in the first place. Right now, Brunello Cucinelli occupies the perfect position, known among the wealthy, unknown among the masses. The brand hasn't lost the rich yet, but there are early warning signs. Fashion forums discussing Cucinelli more frequently, resale markets offering more Cucinelli pieces, and consulting firms recommending the brand to newly wealthy clients. And there you have it. 15 luxury brands that wealthy consumers have either abandoned, are abandoning, or will soon abandon. From Furla's debt crisis to Brunello Cucinelli's impending overexposure. And there you have it. 15 luxury brands that wealthy consumers have either abandoned, are abandoning, or will soon abandon. From Furla's debt crisis to Brunello Cucinelli's impending overexposure. From Michael Kors' textbook overexpansion to Balenciaga's reputational destruction. From Gucci's creative chaos to Louis Vuitton's saturation problem. The pattern is clear. Wealthy consumers have zero loyalty to brands that betray exclusivity, whether through scandal, overproduction, quality decline, or simple accessibility.